the leadership of the APC in Rivers State will say that the candidate of the AAC is whom they are backing, and that will be the governor of Rivers State in just 48 hours. Before that time, there had not been any posters. They were printed by the candidate. There had not been any, radio communications or TV communications, and therefore it was difficult. So the amount of brute force, that was employed at elections was expected. I mean, that's the only way you can get, someone who for 8 hours the election was unknown, to have victory. So, I'm not here trying to support anybody. I'm just saying that in this situation that we're in, we all are losers, and then we need to do something that is rewarding to everybody and rewarding to the system.
The question is brute force on the part of who? Because, looking at the entire scenario in Rivers State, there are questions as to why violence ought to have erupted, or why did violence erupt in Rivers State. From your own estimation, you tried to be a candidate, even though it was not clear. You maintained that you were still the candidate of the Accord Party, but that was not what we got from the courts. But from what you experienced in Rivers State, in whose interest was the violence that erupted in Rivers?
Well, I think that the losers, were Rivers people. What happened on that day was, a violent infringement on the rights of Rivers people to a free, fair, and credible elections. That's what happened. Both parties, were equally prepared to ensure that elections were not free and fair. And that has come up with the allegations that we get from both sides. The APC says that the PDP employed thugs. The PDP says that the APC used the military. So these are accusations coming from the two, major parties against themselves. And the evidence, is everywhere. That there were some, activities of persons, who tried to disrupt the electoral process, who were sympathetic to the PDP. And of course, there was also evidence that, that there were some institutions that were also sympathetic, to the APC. And the clash of titans that we had denied Rivers people the opportunity to a free, fair, and credible elections on March 9th. And I thought that was what INEC was alluding to when they came up with their press statement on the 10th, disowning the entire process, saying that in this sort of situation, we can't, clearly say there was any elections. Unfortunately, right now, they say that we had elections. So that's where we are. Results have been announced. And so what do we do as Rivers people? Challenge the system or try and engage the system?
You say both parties, but the APC wasn't on the ballot.
Well, I think that even from what the public secretary of the APC said, that there were some local arrangements that the APC, entered into in Rivers State. And those local arrangements, were clearly, known to everybody. The APC in the state had come up to say that their candidate for that election was the AAC candidate, in that elections. And so the APC in the state deployed their entire machinery in support of that candidate. So the APC did participate constructively in the elections in Rivers State.
But that was after the APC tried to back you. Initially, what we had heard was that the APC was going to be backing your candidature. Up until the eve of the elections, when it seemed like your party was divided against itself. No,
the statement by the leader of the APC in the state backing the AAC came 72 hours or thereabouts to the elections, so it was not on the eve of the elections. I think that they have made up their minds, not the local arrangements, was not to back me. I think that the essence was, to deny someone who was, pro people, because it was clear that I was on the ballot. It was clear that yes, that the Federal High Court had given a judgment on the matter, and the matter had been appealed, and that we had filed a motion for stay, and the Court of Appeal was looking at those issues. Today, clearly, the Court of Appeal has come out to affirm that I am the candidate of the party. And I've asked the Barrido not to parade himself as the candidate and all that. So it was clear at all times that I had the strongest and I was the candidate of the party. But the APC had a choice, to support something that was positive. I have been very concerned, and where we are now is what do we do? There are a teeming number of Rivers people who are unemployed. As you know, 41.8% of Rivers people are unemployed against the national average of 18.1. That's distressing enough. Additionally, some 20 to 30% of Rivers people are underemployed. We have a life expectancy of, of 47. That's about the lowest. The highest misery, index in Nigeria. These are not my statistics. So these are the things that should worry us. And they say that there are 100 kidnappings, in Nigeria. 60 of those happen, in Rivers State. These things should concern us. Where we are now, right? How do we get employment to our people? What sort of innovations, do we bring on board? I will tell you, the rational exuberance of the American economy in the last 50 years, is propelled by just 3 innovations: the computer, the microchip, and the internet. And then this was as a result of a triangular alliance of governments, the academia, and private business. So we need to see what we have to do at this point in time to get Rivers people employed, to create opportunities for Rivers people and demand responsibilities from all.
All right, we'll take a few more moments when we'll come back and wrap this up. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. Our concluding moments now, but you spoke about the challenges that is facing. Well, incidentally, it's not just Rivers State. The country, as a matter of fact, that's why for some time now we've been talking about the task before the governors, the elected public officials. It's huge. The stats that stare us in the face in the country is a lot. But moving forward now, in terms of what do we do to ensure that we have a system, a process that you only have people who will look on the outside and think if they have something to offer, they could come in without necessarily being scared of losing their lives. What would you suggest be done to encourage such people to get into the fray?
Well, I think that regardless of what happens, people should be moved by their conviction rather than by their fears. No system, is perfect. And at this rate, right, I understand that if these things continue by natural selection, the good guys will simply opt out. But I would say that, that this should actually, propel the good guys to want to get involved and say, look, these things just can't be like this. There is some amount of sacrifice that we have to make for the future of our country and that of our children.
So does that mean that you're encouraged now to proceed beyond 2019 to, say, 2023 and so on? What will you do?
Yes, I mean, my language has been the same. My own politics is devoid of, rancor, of bitterness. I am for what is good for Rivers people. It doesn't have to be me. I've always said so. I don't have to be governor of Rivers State. Today, the sort of things that I do for, for Rivers people, the reach out, that I engage in on a daily basis, helping people with their medical issues, helping people with their school fees issues, and all of those things, giving people the tools they need to succeed in this very highly competitive 21st century. Those things I do and I'm not in government, and I shall continue to do, because we need to help to build capacity of our people. For instance, we have LNG train, train 7. Rivers people are not equipped to take advantage of LNG train 7. And government should be looking at those sort of things. Therefore, what kinds of trainings should we have? What kinds of curriculum should we have in our schools that will prepare our young, right, for the jobs and the sort of economy that is coming? These are things that should challenge government. By going by statistics in Rivers State, right, 168,000 Rivers people get into primary schools every year. Of that figure, only 86,000 get into junior secondary. About half of that number is lost. Where have they gone to? What has happened to them? Do we have any data, any statistics to know where these guys are? Maybe they are the next set of militia, waiting to be armed. So these are things that ought to concern people in government. And if we address these issues, I don't have to be the one who is governor to get those things done. But what I want is a great society that accommodates all of us.
Why does it appear difficult? that you don't have a lot, or what would it take to get politicians in Rivers State to have the kind of mindset that you have, that look, this is about the people, it doesn't have to be me, as long as whoever is there, perhaps let's rally and build this, as long as it's a free process?
Chamberlain, I think that we need serious prayers, perhaps, because I've always said to, even my supporters, that you're praying for me to win. I need all the prayers when I win, more than even now that I'm trying to win elections. Because, you see, the way I'm speaking is obviously the same way almost all the people who are in government spoke before they got into office. So there's probably something in those offices, right, that corrupt their minds when they get there and then they begin to do the things that they said they were not going to do or they were going to work against.
Could it affect you when you become governor?
Well, I pray. I don't know what's there. I have a clear mindset as to what the things that I want to do. But I thought that even those who are in office, I had the same, very, very clear mindset. And so we have the sort of things that we have now. These things are very concerning. But I think that regardless, right, people like you are always encouraged to come on board. And it's a numbers thing. The people that have held us hostage, the political class, the active politicians, are no more than 5–10% of the population.
Taking us back to what Chamberlain said the other time, that look, if people are afraid for their lives and they see these kind of things going on, they don't want to risk their lives to go in. I mean, and you say that we should go in, the good guys should go in, be moved by their persuasion, not by fears. I mean, I'm not a realist, but do you understand what I'm saying? If people are not assured of their own safety before they get into the office, I mean, what would make them, these good guys, want to risk their lives?
Well, I think that nothing ventured, nothing gained, right? You want a great society, you've got to work at it. You don't sit on the fence. You don't stay on the sidelines. You have to get onto the playing fields.
Let me rephrase it.
Yeah.
How can we ensure safer elections?
Well, I think that it takes the involvement of all of you, and then it takes people, the press, everyone calling out people. Say, oh yes, this is what you did, this is wrong, and then they call you out. People, like you say, are afraid, even when they are not, actively participating in the elections. They are still afraid that, oh, but we don't want to be enemies of people who are in government. So the entire, system, the entire society is cowed. And they know, so what we have now, right, is an attitude of government that they can hate us as much as they want. As long as they fear us, it's okay.
If your people ask you to do this again in 2023, will you?
Well, presuming it's over in 2019, is that what we're saying?
Because the process is still there. He wants to go to court. But if we look at the process, and at that point where your party seemed to have not had its act together, and the APC was looking for just about the best person to support, they were going to go for you until they're about 72 hours before they changed their mind. What happened at that point?
Well, as you've seen in the last few days, the APC have come out to say they don't know what happened in Rivers State. So the APC, the national leadership of the APC, was not for what happened. So they probably still had their eyes and their minds and their hearts on me. And then the local arrangement went awry, unfortunately.
Who's in control of the local arrangement?
Well, there's the leadership of the party at all the local levels and at the zonal levels. So we know who is the leader of the party in Rivers State.
Yeah, but if that were the case, I mean, is it that the national leadership couldn't have made a statement at that time that whether it was true or false or whatever it was in the air, wouldn't it have been right for them to have made that statement, perhaps to calm frayed nerves?
So somehow, right, it all started like a joke. Some, rally of sorts that were put together in Eleme local government area. That rally, that it was announced, more like a joke. Oh, by the way, you guys will be the first to know. Just this morning, we've taken a decision that we're going to back a party called, even they, but that's when I said the party called the AAC. But the AAC at that time was not a party known to anybody in Rivers State. It wasn't a party known to anybody. And even I, who've been around, and of course, even the candidates from my own local government, I was struggling to find out who's the guy. So that was the sort of situation, and I think that perhaps the APC national was trying to understand what's going on here. and it was too close to elections. And perhaps they didn't want to confuse the system or overheat the politics. Some error are taking place. And that probably can explain why they disowned the entire thing that happened, the local arrangements that took place in Port Harcourt.
Don't you think, winding down now, don't you think all of this will make it difficult if you eventually say you're going to go to the tribunal?
Well, going to the tribunal, right, is not to go to allege that I won the elections, because clearly, looking at what INEC have said, it's difficult for me, even if they announced those results and it favored me, I would have disowned it. Because I know clearly that if you say that there was no elections and 23 days after you come with something.
Disown, if they had announced you as
winner, yes, of course.
You would have disowned the
results. Yeah, I would have said no. It's not possible. I therefore would have faced serious legitimacy issues. It would have been clear. Who would have accepted it? I would say, how did it happen? You guys said it didn't have results. And people will be quoting the same INEC press releases that I'm quoting now. And so what we expected in Rivers State was that there was going to be a rescheduling, of the elections. But I also understand sometimes, they have to balance the issues of security as against justice. And sometimes, people look at justice as an individual, pursuit, and stability as something that everybody else enjoys. So what they are looking at now, do we have some kind of stability?
So will you still be going to tribunal?
Well, I belong, to the people, of the Accord, and we'll sit down and look at all the options. I also belong to Rivers State, and I'm very concerned about the sort of hate that we found in our politics. We need to bring down hate. Chamberlain, frankly, right? The torch has to pass to a new generation of Rivers people whose common enemies are, illiteracy, wars, tyranny, and hunger. It has to pass. We need to have people who are clearly concerned about their own people. There's a lot of pain and suffering going on there. There is too much hate. So sitting here now, right, I'm asking myself, what's the right thing to do? Engage, or challenge?
Would you work with the governor if he says, let's build the state together?
Well, it depends on, whether or not it's sincere. Of course. It's important, that everybody who is interested in righting the wrongs in Rivers State, right? If you have an opportunity, you don't have to be the one who is at the head of it. You have an opportunity, you commit yourself to it, and you see how you can create the opportunity that you say you want for your people. And so there is no doubt that at every point in time, as a politician, right, I like, something that works for every Rivers man, every Rivers woman, every Rivers child, and all of us, and I need to advise you guys too, talking about fear and all that all of us must live in the inspirations or the pressing needs of this present time.
That's a fine place to anchor. We've been speaking with Chief Duma Lulu Briggs, the governorship candidate of the Accord Party. Thank you for coming on, and all the best.
Thank you, Chamberlain, for the warm handshake in a rather cold season.
All right, there. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.